the Vanguard lineup. Adam's still going to be in the mix. We just have to see what Zenny is going to be deciding to go with.
We do have a champion in our midst here. Leo is the MRC Season 0 console champion for EMEA. And now they're bringing out that Adam Warlock. They're a big Winter Soldier player, but now going to try and buff up that Storm, get those revives in. And of course, Adam is a hit scan character, can punish enemy Storms or Human Torches and get pretty reasonable burst damage.
Yeah, I mean, Adam was literally the thing that prevented double flyer meta from developing in career in Season 1 when Torch and Storm were in the mix. Everyone just went for the Adam Warlock and they would put the duelist player on it. Prolifically Happy being probably the most famous, and those double flyers would just get minced down within moments. So if you do want to try and go for a flyer approach, that Adam being hit scan is definitely going to be a problem that Smash is going to have to deal with on the Torch.
Gain is going to be opening up extremely aggressively, spots the Wolverine running past, but they're going to go in for a different wraparound, scouting, looking for the opening. Is it the high ground? Just trying to find someone isolated. That's going to be the Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, onto the back lane they try and go. However, Lugia on that Wolverine is going to give them a nice window of opportunity to turn the tables onto BloodKariudo instead. And it's Gainer who gets carried away by the Feral Lunge. Lugia still hasn't burned out that rocket jump pack cookie either. As Newton on the Punisher on off angle, just entirely uncontested, as everyone on the side of BloodKariudo had to just deal with the Wolverine rather than the Punisher instead.
Jeff is here. Jeff Nado on the board as BloodKariudo begin to try and force their way back in. And we do in fact see Nez on that Human Torch, meaning they're going to have to land some good shots from Crazy Kitty, and Leo might have to try and use that Cosmic Magic to get a little bit of extra burst damage.
Yeah, this is going to be really tough for BloodKariudo to play into that retake because this Punisher is just untouchable right now. He's getting all of this pocket and BloodKariudo just have no angle to put up pressure onto Newton, who's already 60% to that first final judgment. In the meantime, the longer you take to rotate into that Punisher, the more value Smash is, as, oh, that's an unfortunate misclick. Actually, no, BloodKariudo swap off of the Adam Warlock, so the Soulborn being invested there is not going to be felt, as it's going to be Leila's now on a Punisher to match.
A little bit of extra point and click to try and take out Smash, to try and burn through that front line. If they can get onto the point, it's going to be great for the hold as well with that culling turret. But right now, Smash Nez is mostly uncontested, using the Flaming Meteor for that bonus health to make sure that they get out of danger.
He's got the Supernova too. Ducky 1 is going to have the Meteor, and BloodKariudo lacking the Magneto on the other side to absorb the Torch Ultimate, and out it comes, right into the path of the entire stack of players. If they try and run away, they're just going to take so much pressure coming out on the disengagement from the final judgment, and Zero Tenacity are just not allowing BloodKariudo any opportunity to come into this fight.
They were able to survive the initial last stand from Lugia, but they were forced to back up Newton. Melting through now the counter from Leo, who gets eaten by the Meteor Ram. Ducky with the triple KO. And this is Zero Tenacity on 99, and overtime ticking down. That is just it. Round number 1 is going over to Zero Tenacity. There's no one portaling.
Yeah, I mean, Zero Tenacity won Vanguard, and they just have so much burst potential. They have so much burst potential, which means that even though BloodKariudo have the one-sided Storm, could potentially utilize the Goddess Boost to just out-tempo their opponent, they're not given the opportunity to use it. Every single time they try and maneuver the Storm into a position, they're getting shredded down by a hit scan on the other side of the map. And this Punisher, if you try and turn to the Punisher, you're not looking at the Torch. If you try and turn to the Torch, you're not looking at the Wolverine. Like, you can see, Newton goes down once. Smash Nez on a Torch? Not a single time!
They can't target them. They can't go in. They're going for a triple strategist once again. The Storm has been abandoned. It's time for the Star-Lord. There's a Torch in the game. We bring out the Master Aerial Duelist. While the Torch can get huge burst in close ranges, those iframes from the Star-Lord and Crazy Kitty could be the tool they need to try and turn this round.
Yeah, the Star-Lord's wings have been clipped, though, by the lack of Magneto. He did not manage to make it through the ban phase for the side of BloodKariudo, but Zenny with the Mantis can still stack the damage boost and the heal. As we can see, yet again, TP comes out from Gainer looking for an isolated target. Out jumps iMonkey, hasn't been able to find a player to grab onto just yet, but they have found isolation. The problem is the Pyro Prison from SmashNaz just makes it so much harder for BloodKariudo to hold that position. Finally, they've been able to commit into a fight, though, in the close quarters, which sets up the EMEA to get the value that they've been looking for.
2 people pushed off the map in that fight, and it's going to be BloodKariudo. They do lose Leo, but it's Adam Warlock. They can cocoon them back to the fight if they want to, and they will, to make sure that they have bodies on the point, and they will claim the initial cap, keeping with this Jeff, by the way, even without the storm.
Yeah, and this is rework Jeff too, so that primary is going to be healing allies and damaging enemies. So the more the players are stacked, the more value the cap on the Jeff is going to be able to find, as Lugia is looking to find an opening, gets scouted out immediately. SmashNaz also denied an angle to utilize the Supernova to instigate the fight. As Tenacity hunting, searching for a way in. It's gonna be Winnie coming on through with the Psionic to force them away from that pressure of cover into the Torch Supernova, just connecting onto so many of these players getting stacked. But Crazy Kitty with the Galactic Legend, tiny sliver of HP, gets the full resource stack from Zenny and immediately goes right back up to full to stop Tenacity from picking up any momentum off of their opening.
Not enough for an elimination. Neither team is finding the opening as in comes the Eternal Bond into the final judgment. Newton is melting through. That's going to be a soul rejuvenation from Zenny, who is melted here. Karmic Revival for the turnaround there, which will bring back everyone here.
Karmic Revival, but Tenacity are still holding on to ultimates. Crucially, the last stand, one of the best ultimates to counterplay the Karmic Revival because everyone gets revived, stacked up, and Lugia is claws out, scratching down the entire force of BloodKariudo, who are going to be able to potentially draw out this fight, but given the point flipping, we can see that Crazy Kitty is actually not going to go for the revive and will hold on to the cooldown instead.
And with that, they are forced back to base. They still have Eye of Okamoto and the Psionic Seduction 60% of the way towards that Galactic Legend once again. And 80% of the way through the point compared to Tenacity's 20. This is still completely doable for BloodKariudo, but they have to find an opening. That culling turret, Mind's Aegis, will prevent it from capitalizing as they try to deal with this very aggressive Canadian who is trying to find the flanks.
Yeah, but Gainer is just going lower and lower and lower. BloodKariudo are trying to bait Tenacity into taking a fight out in the open so they can utilize the higher poke pressure that they have as a composition. But SmashNaz on this torch has been able to build up another Supernova. Monkey's going to try and shut it down with the Psionic Seduction connecting onto the torch. Smash going lower and lower and lower, and finally low enough to get sent fully packing as BloodKariudo now with that pick should be able to find the flip.
Great reaction from Monkey to hold down Lugia to prevent that burst and to try and prevent that torch from getting too much. Smash a swap to Strange. It is Tenacity going to try and hold on the overtime, but Galactic Legend, Soul Rejuvenation, and the Eye of Okamoto are available. But Newton, if they can just delay for that final judgment, which they will get, now they just need to get in there and pull the trigger.
Leo gets pressured by the Punisher turret off of the angle. Crazy Kitty comes on through with the Galactic Legend. Newton at the same time sends out the final judgment, and it's cleaning house. BloodKariudo might have had the resurgence from the Mantis, but the heal effects is not enough to stand up to snuff with that Punisher ultimate. And Tenacity will be able to find the fight win, but crucially, Leo is still going to have that Karmic Revival. They've got a couple of fights to play around with. They can just take this next fight dry, force Tenacity's hands, and then come back into that final fight. Ultimate's up.
They're going to creep their way in here, looking at Tenacity. That's going to be the invisible boundary. They have the last stand here. Carling turret on the high ground. Going to get jeweled out here by the Star-Lord as Leo creeping in for the burst with those cosmic clusters. But they're already getting kind of melted there. Last stand, trying to burn on through. And Leo, with the extra soul bond, will keep the team topped up. They're holding here.
Soul Bond has been used before Karmic Revival, though, so they could potentially get brought back up weakened. Tenacity have to be able to wrangle their forces. They know that these picks are likely not going to stick. as Cap actually comes through with the first onto Oasis. The Cloak and Dagger is dethroned. Zero Tenacity going to be missing so much sustainability now. This is up to Lugia. The Wolverine with the passive steps onto point, tries to hold it down, keep it in play. Smash is also making it problematic for BloodKariudo to hold that position with the Pyro Prison as Leo invests the Comet Revival on the other side of the portal. He can drop through now onto the other side, revive everybody on the opposing end of the portal, and bring them right back up to point before Zero Tenacity can keep up the pressure and hunt the low HP players down.
And that looked like a completely different team to the first round. BloodKariudo mixing up the draft. They forced them off of the torch just due to how aggressive they were able to be. They've evened up the score, and we are now 1-1 on map number 1.
We have Jeff. I'm so happy. We finally have Jeff, and it's not just for speed bubbles out of spawn. And like you said, it is working. Like, Jeff is able to keep up significant amounts of healing. The closer stacked up that you are, the more healing that Jeff is going to be able to provide onto multiple bodies, which in turn means that your Adam is going to be able to hold on to the healing snaps for themselves, as opposed to having to burn through all of them. A resource-based cooldown, if you have to burn that, then potentially you don't have it to save yourself, which means that the Adam would be vulnerable to that pressure coming out from either the Torch or the Punisher. So they're doing a very good job of alleviating that particular stress for Leo to have to deal with.
They're sticking with the same draft because if it ain't broke, why fix it? And Cap has its Jeff right at the back, and again the portal engage every time for BloodKariudo, and the Psionic Seduction, they are coming out swinging.
Yeah, Zero Tenacity going to be trying to retreat over towards point side, but they still get caught. Winnie goes down before this boundary can come on through, and that's going to clear the way for Galactic Legend. Ducky 1 holds on to Meteor M, and now utilizing it, but Galactic Legend has been able to find picks in the backline behind Waterfall. Zero Tenacity have been able to pick up the first point percentage, though, enabled off of the back of that Eternal Bond. BloodKariudo now going to be down some of those engagement ultimates.
A little bit of a split there forced out of BloodKariudo. Zero Tenacity able to isolate too many members. And while Crazy Kitty did protect the Jeff, they just were so outnumbered by the end. Culling Turret gets wiped out, and Newton backing up to the more defensive position.
Winnie going down early in that fight has the silver lining of giving Zero Tenacity still a strategist ultimate. If this boundary is going to be coming into the mix, they have to be worried, though, about Gainer with the Eye of Agamotto. If there's enough damage off of that Maelstrom, it will be able to punch through the healing of that boundary as BloodKariudo take the fight all the way to the point, try and force Zero Tenacity into opening up around that brawl. But you can see Smashnaz on this torch playing expertly around all of the cover the tree line provides as Lugia finds a huge last stand, pummeling through BloodKariudo's entire team line, and that's going to be the triple res comp sent packing.
Zero Tenacity are locked in. We're seeing the slight issue with this come from BloodKariudo. Everyone's trying to heal each other, so they do stand quite close to each other at times. And just how long it takes for Adam Warlock to charge up that Karmic Revival. He's still only on 87, now 89, 90%. After landing that Cosmic Cluster, but they've been through multiple fights. Now it's 73% already. Soul Rejuvenation dropped extremely early. Mantis is running in, charging Eye of Agamotto into the backline, but no one is protecting the backline, and they just ran straight past Smash, who's able to pick up a counter elimination, but it is 3 for 1.
Yeah, Leo is down, so no Adam, no Soul Bomb. BloodKariudo will be able to pick up the point for the first time at least, and Gainer will be able to remove the Wolverine from play. But you're incredibly concerned now about Smashnaz and the Supernova coming on through from the other side. Ducky 1 as well is going to have that Meteor M to absorb the Galactic Legend pressure coming on through from BloodKariudo. We might see a defensive Edge Jab from Calf just to absorb the pressure that Zero Tenacity can expend with the Duelist ultimates.
Sieging in from above to try and create an opening. If they can weaken them, then the engage from Zero Tenacity can come in. They have Meteor M. That's, of course, their only Vanguard. They're going to use the Eternal Bond and the Final Judgment and Supernova, and it works exactly as you'd expect. A complete melt, but no one is near to Leo, who will get the Karmic Revival this time, but can't get close enough to Cap. They found the Revive, and they are starting to drop the damage.
Yeah, that Revive spaces is pretty telegraphed. There's a bright, glowy beacon on it, and Smashnaz just puts the Super supernova directly over the top of it. BloodKariudo just did not have the resources to stabilize once everyone got revived. And that, unfortunately, is no one close enough to touch onto point because they were playing for the full karmic revive.
Jeff tried to go for it's Jeff to pick them up off the point to allow Starlord to just flip into it, but they just did not have the time. That is 1-0 in this best of 3 to 0 Tenacity. Again, an insanely pedigreed team, and for one of the first really successful solo Vanguard compositions we have seen in the EMEA.
Yeah, I mean, this torch, like the torch, the Punisher, the Wolverine, all working together. If you look at one, the other two gain so much more value. Your attention is this constant strategist lineup. I mean, Caf has shown the Jeff. There are better positions for the Jeff ultimate on point A on Arako in comparison to some of the maps on Krakoa. So potentially we do see that continue. But as we saw from Krakoa's performance, it's Jeff in organized team play a lot harder to pull off and find value than in comparison to maybe your ranked ladder games.
But the healing output was pretty reasonable, did manage to match their opponents in terms of that good healing. It is just where the ultimates came in that they struggled to find the value. We saw before the lock-in here, they are looking at an Iron Man potentially.
Yeah, I mean, if Iron Man comes into the mix, then the Ultron target ban also makes a lot of sense so that you can deny the nanotech team up coming on through. But no, Caf is actually going to be sticking with the Jeff. Leo is going to be sticking with the Adam. So we are going to have triple strategists coming out from the attacker side. Something to note about this map is that this first fight massively favored towards the attack, as again a strange teleport deposits everyone on top of Newton's turret, and that is going to be an aggressive soul bomb into just immediately eating away all of the defender space.
The aura of not even teleporting behind him, just like, hello, we are here to try and take this win, and blasting through that Punisher culling turret as Smashnez forced to back away. Wolverine though, Lugia still pretty cracked as they're able to get the double, triple, and they will force this push to come to a screeching halt.
Yeah, this is the problem if you're BloodKariudo. It's not just the strategists that you have access to, it's also the lack of Magneto. It's not going to just hinder your Starlord, it's going to absolutely boost Lugia's potential on the Wolverine, because who counters him? You have to just find the pick onto him, but this map is so hard to be able to take the Wolverine down early because the amount of cover that there is to hide around, something that Gainer just learned firsthand.
Feral Leap into Carbon Crush is just so hard to deal with. They're forced to back away again. Zero Tenacity sieging away on the point with those fibers, with the Pyro Prison to zone everyone away. And while BloodKariudo are still trying to creep on forwards, it's so slow. They've burned through so much time already. They're down to 2 minutes and 30. That is going to be a silent seduction. Strange trying to block it, and the Supernova to lock them down. But this time, with the Soul Rejuvenation, BloodKariudo attacking through, but Newton is going to try and put a stop to that and will succeed with the Final Judgment.
Who needs Meteor M when you've got Final Judgment to take the Starlord down? Mid-galactic legend. Zero Tenacity dig their heels into the crown. Okay, yeah, this is just strategies. That's gonna move, by the way, with the objective moving. So yeah, Newton is going to be dethroned from his position atop the actual objective as BloodKariudo try and take a flank route and get deposited yet again into Lucas' waiting arms as the last stand comes out from the Wolverine, and BloodKariudo just have not been able to find a single answer. This is the problem. Jeff can keep up with healing output, but where's the utility? You can't speed bubble out of the way of a Wolverine grab. You just have to eat it.
They're holding onto this ult for so long as well. You're going to struggle because Punisher, if they ult or go into turret, they can block it. The Cloak can avoid it. Ayamagamoto going to come out. They're going to try and capitalize here as in comes the Is Jeff. Will they find some value out of this one?
There's an environmental hazard right there. We've got one. The problem is it's the Invis, which means that she's just going to be able to jump over the ledge unless you go over with her, and that's just something that BloodKariudo cannot spare. So Winnie will be able to survive stepping into invisibility as Smashness on this torch is still up, pulls another supernova, and stops the attacking side from walking past this first corner yet again.
45 seconds remaining. BloodKariudo, they have that Karmic Revival finally charged up, but they need to actually find an angle to use it because they're getting pressured from every single angle right now. And Lugia is just finding targets on cooldown, it seems. Every time BloodKariudo step up to the center bridge, there's an isolation as Newton takes out Monkey.
And with Monkey gone, that is the one thing potentially stopping the Wolverine. Ducky 1 moves into position with the Psionic Seduction, manages to split the entirety of BloodKariudo in half, which allows Lugia to just get aggressive and just keeps building up these last stands. He's got another one, by the way, and we're about to go into overtime, which means that BloodKariudo, their position is going to be forced on the objective.
Crazy Kitty has brought out the Ultron. They're trying the Venom to try and creep on him, but Monkey is melted by the final judgment, and this is turning into an absolute target practice for Newton. Gainer is taken down. No one is on the point. They're trying to creep on in, but overtime ticks down, and BloodKariudo are put to a solid halt at 57 meters, 63 centimeters, and Zero Tenacity are in a great position to take this map and the series.
So we talked earlier about how important the pick and ban phase is. And we said it's around about, 65% weighted in terms of the team that walks away as a contribution for whether or not you're going to be taking the map. In terms of this map for the pick and ban phase, 75%, probably closer to 90%, let's be honest, as Zero Tenacity have been able to engineer a pick and ban phase that removes every single Wolverine counter. Except the Emma, and Iron Monkey is just not getting the opportunity to use Diamond Form into grab against Lugia because there's just continuous pressure on distance from Smashnez on this Torch and Newton on the Punisher, which forces the Emma into playing with Aegis up. And if you're playing with Aegis in position to just shut down those angles, you can't use your Diamond Form.
There's so little left. Like you said, everything's been banned out. Who can really deal with the Wolverine? You can try the thing to stop him from dashing, but percentage damage plus Punisher, you're just doing one huge target. You're going to get melted. There's so little left that you can do, and BloodKariudo have decided full containment. They've brought out the Penny, they've brought out the Rocket. They're going to try and lock them in spawn.
They're trying to just play the Ultron as well. Leo is going to be on the Ultron. No Iron Man, though. You're going to have a lot of damage instead of sustainability, but Zero Tenacity read it out, and just the way we saw in Midtown, out comes the Spawn Hold counter. Newton on the Moon Knight, Winnie on the Squirrel Girl, Smashnez and Lugia still sticking with the Torch and the Wolverine, as it's just going to be one pick that they need to just blow this fight wide open. Cap on the Rocket does at least have the BRB to bring one of the players on the defenders back if they fall down a little prematurely, but Zero Tenacity, with the amount of distance that they have to cross, can just keep pressuring the Anchor State players, and that's Gainer and Monkey dispatched immediately. One of those Vanguards is not coming back.
The BRB brought one back. It's a 3-3 draft. Finally, Cap is removed. The portal is going to have to wait for the Strange to respawn, as down the stairs and just ever so slightly round the corner is the finish line. Gainer is going to try and rush in the portal. A couple people might be trying to run in to touch in time, but there's such a long distance to go. They will be able to touch, but with 2 minutes and 55 seconds left, is there anything they can do? Goodbye, Penny.
Oh, the Wolverine lunge. And Ducky 1 getting the kick as well. That's going to be Zero Tenacity surely cementing themselves, taking this 2-0. It's just a matter of dealing with the cleanups. What a difference. Krakoa was so close. Both of those teams at points looking like they had the read on the other. And then we went into this, and it was just night and day difference. Lugia on this Wolverine just going to show why the advanced pick and ban strats are so necessary. You cannot allow a Wolverine to just deny all of his potential counterplays.
There was